The mystery began almost 2 decades ago when a suitcase was found burning at an industrial park north of Toronto. Inside it, a body.
Did you kill your daughter?
No way.
Did you ever hit her?
Mm-mm.
Who killed her?
I really don't.
Who killed her? If it wasn't you, who killed her?
Oh.
Welcome back to Melanin Mysteries, where we uncover stories that reveal the darkest corners of human nature. Today, we delve into the troubling case of Melonie Biddersingh, a young girl who immigrated to Canada with dreams of a better life, only to face unimaginable cruelty and suffering. Her tragic story exposes the devastating effects of abuse within a family, leading to one of the most chilling cases in Canadian history. Join me as we unravel the heartbreaking events surrounding Melonie's life and the pursuit of justice that followed her untimely death. Born in Kingston, Jamaica, at the time, 13-year-old Melonie Biddersingh and her younger brother, 12-year-old Dwayne Biddersingh, were sent by their mom, Opal, to live with their biological dad in Canada in 1991, in hopes of her children living a better life. You see, Opal had 5 children who lived in poverty. They all lived in a crowded shack that had a dirt floor and no windows. The shack was also made of salvaged wood and steel, and there was no running water or plumbing. Melonie's dad, Everton Biddersingh, had already immigrated to Canada from Jamaica in 1979. Shortly after arriving, he married Elaine, their stepmom, and they moved to a 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto. Between 1985 and 1991, they had 3 children together: O'Neill, Kenroy, and Charmaine. Everton's other child, Melonie, and Dwayne's older half-brother, Cleon Biddersingh, also moved in the apartment with them. The siblings wanted to go to school, as they had done in Jamaica. Cleon envisioned becoming the next Ben Jonson success story on a track scholarship. Dwayne was intent on pop music stardom, while Melonie wanted to be a nurse. But once there, they were subjected to abuse at the hands of Everton and Elaine. Cleon testified to the physical and emotional abuse he and his 2 younger siblings, Melonie and Dwayne, endured during their time in Canada. Cleon testified that he had to serve as the family's cook, while his and his half-siblings' food were rationed. He was also a cleaner and a tutor for his 2 younger half-brothers, who also didn't go to school. He also said that Melonie was starved, beaten, where she was dragged by her hair and stomped on by her dad, and tortured over a long period of time by her dad and stepmom. He also said that she was confined, handcuffed, made to sleep on cardboard boxes on the floor, and to live in a broom closet, not permitted to go to school, and instead was made to clean the apartment and be a nanny for Elaine's infant daughter, while being told she was evil and a curse to the family. Melonie couldn't even use the bathroom and was forced to urinate and defecate in a bucket on the balcony because her stepmom complained that Melonie's waste was putrid, and Cleon had to dump the waste. They both showered 2 or 3 times a week on the balcony. He also cleaned up his sister when she was so sick she couldn't control herself. Cleon also stated that he at times was not allowed to talk with Melonie because his dad thought he and Melonie were planning something against him. Cleon also testified that he was forced to sell drugs for his dad, and that Everton had a gun in the apartment and used it to threaten Cleon to keep him in line dealing drugs and remaining a slave. Now, Opal was not aware of what was happening in Canada. She had made dozens of collect calls using a payphone, but was only able to talk to her kids twice. But even during those times, Everton wouldn't allow her to speak with her kids. Things had gone much worse from there when everything came to a head on June 15, 1992, which was when Melonie's brother Dwayne, at the age of 14, plummeted to his death from the balcony of the Biddersingh's 22nd floor Toronto apartment. Everton had told police that Dwayne jumped to his death because he was threatened to be sent back to Jamaica. His death was considered suspicious, but was ultimately ruled a suicide. After her son's death, Opal wanted Melonie back home. So she contacted the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to demand her daughter back. But then she received a letter from them saying that Melonie was fine and attending school. But she believed that the letter was based on lies that Everton told Jamaican officials. Everton then moved his family, including Melonie and Cleon, away without telling Opal where. The death of her brother really drove Melonie to escape her evil father and stepmother. And so Melonie left the apartment one time on her own using the stairwell, and she made it only as far as the third step before collapsing as she was too weak. Cleon found her, and she told him that she wanted to die as she hated her circumstances. He had to persuade her to return as he didn't want her to get in trouble. But according to Cleon, her dad found out about her escape attempt, and so he had her head flushed in the toilet and said that this is how the police get people to tell the truth. Melonie did eventually leave the apartment, but under suspicious circumstances. Cleon testified that he had last saw his sister lying on her side on the floor, where she was made to sleep, holding her stomach. He then went to sleep, but his dad woke him up, saying that Melonie had ran away. He said, "I remember he said she'd run away, and he's going to go drive down the road and see if he see her walking. He leave the apartment, and I just panic." While Everton was out with his wife, Cleon said he searched a nearby stairwell where he had once found his sister before. When he found no sign of her, he said he checked a closet to find Melonie's clothes were still at home. Then he scanned the street from the apartment window but didn't see his sister. When Everton and his wife returned, Cleon said he was instructed to dispose of a barrel in which Melonie was sometimes confined in. He was also told to throw out a chain used to shackle her to furniture and clean the balcony where she was forced to bathe and relieve herself. Cleon also said that Everton did not call the police to report his own daughter as missing. Then on September 1st, 1994, a body was discovered in a burning suitcase in a parking lot. The body was of 17-year-old Melonie, but at the time, authorities could not identify her as she was burned beyond recognition. An autopsy revealed that she had suffered over 20 broken bones. She was also severely malnourished, weighing a mere 50 pounds. It remained unclear how exactly she was killed, but it was speculated that she may have drowned or starved. After the discovery of her body, police worked tirelessly to identify her.
My colleagues went all out to identify the girl, starting with a press conference to troll for leads.
It's pretty basic clothing, and we don't think it's high-end type of clothing.
Police believe some member of the public knows who this girl is.
But nobody came forward.
A search of missing person files failed to turn up any leads in this case.
A year passed and they tried again, this time with an artist's sculpture.
Those are her actual teeth. The actual skull is underneath this.
And some guesses about her heritage.
The female is either Ethiopian or Somalian.
Still, no one recognized her, and the unknown girl and the secrets of her death remained unknown.
We just haven't had any success whatsoever.
Everton and Elaine had moved back to Jamaica, and they had ran into Opal. Opal was surprised to see them and asked where Melonie was, and they told her that she ran away to America. Without any connections in America, Opal took it upon herself to find out Melonie's whereabouts in her own way. She had a shop where she sells to American tourists, so whenever they came by her shop, she would pull out a picture of Melonie and ask if they've seen her, but to no avail. Opal worked hard to find her daughter alive, not knowing that she was already gone from this world. Everton and Elaine had since moved back to Canada and lived their lives without ever being suspected of being involved in Melonie's disappearance. But that all changed due to a confession from Elaine. You see, in 2011, Melonie's stepmom Elaine told her pastor that Melonie was murdered by Everton.
How did they kill her? Well, he kept her in the room until she died. No water, no food, no nothing. And when I tried to feed her, he beat me. So she died like a dog.
Elaine was questioned, and she admitted that it was her idea to put Melonie in the suitcase and that she was inspired by something she saw on the TV. She also said that it was Everton and Cleon who got rid of the body. Everton was later brought into custody and was interrogated, but confessed nothing to what he did to Melonie.
Did you kill your daughter?
No way.
Did you ever hit her?
Uh-uh.
Who killed her?
I really don't.
Who killed her? If it wasn't you, who killed her?
Oh.
Elaine was questioned again, and when asked about Melonie's injuries, she said she had no clue.
Melonie had very bad injuries.
What do you mean by Melonie had very bad injuries? I don't understand you.
What don't you understand?
No, honest to God, what do you mean she had bad injuries?
The worst injuries that I've ever seen on one person in all my years of doing detective work. The worst.
No! Oh my God, I thought it was just the food. Jesus Christ, no.
Melanie's body was left in an abandoned area and set ablaze in a suitcase that you suggested they put her body in. You did that. You made that suggestion. I need to know why.
Elaine said she was scared of Everton and didn't tell police because she didn't think they would do anything.
Everton used to beat me a lot, okay? Because that's where I started to get accustomed to being afraid. There are many occasions I tried to get away from Everton, like divorce-wise, and it just wouldn't work.
Police moved on to Cleon, who had since managed to escape from his dad's home in his early 20s and began a new life. He was married with children and told his wife about his painful past and tried to look for a sister through internet searches over the years. Since Elaine told police that Cleon helped to get rid of the body, he was arrested in connection with her death and charged with criminal negligence causing bodily harm, aggravated assault, and indignity to a dead body. But after he told police the truth regarding the abuse, his charges were dropped. Melonie was officially identified in February 2012 as a sample from her mom in Jamaica confirmed her identity. And so, Everton and Elaine went on trial for her murder. They both had separate trials, and so Everton's trial was first, and Elaine testified against him. 3 months later, her dad was found guilty of first-degree murder in his daughter's death and was automatically sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Elaine's trial was next, and prosecutor Anna Tenhouse argued that Elaine was an equal partner with Everton when it came to abusing Melonie. In particular, when it came to depriving the teenager of food. She quoted Cleon's testimony, in which he described Elaine as the mind and Everton as the fist. Elaine's defense lawyer, Alana Page, argued that Elaine suffered abuse and isolation at the hands of Everton, a manipulative, violent, and controlling man she married at the age of 18. She even tried to persuade the judge to give Elaine the briefest parole ineligibility period available, in part because she was a victim of domestic violence herself, and because she was not an equal partner to Everton in the abuse. Alana also argued that Elaine should also receive some credit for cooperating with the investigation by speaking with police and testifying at Everton's preliminary inquiry and trial. They even painted Elaine as a dedicated mother to her own 3 now adult children, one of whom requires a great deal of care. However, the mitigating factors that the defense presented in court were not enough to get Elaine off or reduce her sentence. And so, Elaine was found guilty of second-degree murder in the death of Melonie and was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 16 years. This tragedy brings to light how easy it is for immigrant children to get lost and forgotten in the system. Due to this case, a Toronto counselor, who was also a child immigrant himself, wanted to set up a national child registry to track and monitor immigrant children.
She had no one to turn to, and no one knew her circumstances, didn't know anything about her whereabouts. She wasn't going to school. She wasn't connected with anything in the community. She had no friends. The system failed her. If we fail to establish a national registry to help protect our children, then I think government is failing our society as a whole.
However, the federal immigration minister at the time wasn't receptive to that idea. Melonie's mom, Opal, believes poverty would have been a better choice for both Melonie and Dwayne, compared to moving to Canada for a chance at a better life, and says that she regrets her decision. The story of Melonie Biddersingh is a somber reminder of the profound impact of abuse and neglect, and the resilience it takes for survivors to seek justice. The convictions of Everton and Elaine Biddersingh serve as a testament to the pursuit of accountability even years later. Thank you for joining me on this journey into her case. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. See you next time on Melanin Mysteries.